What is up, team? Welcome back to the Red Storm Rap Reaction Podcast. I'm Pat Kane. That's Cole Shaw, and St. John's storms back at MSG against Seton Hall from 15 points down with 15 minutes left in the second half. St. John's comes back. They knuckle down on defense, get some stops, and they get enough buckets to win 65 to 60. Cole, your thoughts immediately afterwards.
They grabbed some freaking rebounds in the second half. I was screaming at my television. My poor neighbors probably heard me yell a few expletives. But I mean, I think Seton Hall had 13 offensive rebounds in the first half, and then they finished the game with just 18. We get 20 to their 18 offensive rebounds. That's the story of the game. We've talked about it over these last couple of wins. It was all about St. John's limiting their opponents' second chance opportunities, and they weren't doing that in the first half, and then they did a great job of that in the second half, only giving up 22 second half points. Just an incredible effort storming back from 15 down. I was letting pessimistic Cole start to creep out of the back of my mind during that first half performance and when we got down big there, but Johnny's really played a tremendous game. Dylan Mitchell was an all over the court, just absolute amazing performance. You can see why Rick Pitino raves at him every chance he gets. I thought Dylan Darling had a great game. Bryce Hopkins was really getting after it on the glass. Zubie has to be keep his emotions a little bit more in check because that technical ended up really haunting him the entire rest of the game. But, all in all, just what an awesome, fun comeback. And just tons of shades of last year's team with just an absolute refusal to lose today, which is great to see out of this new squad.
We kept the cold water Cole away today. Good night to be a Dylan. Mitchell and Darling both played huge factors in that second half. The tide kind of shifted, I feel like, and it felt like Dylan Mitchell got every rebound necessary, and that led to easy baskets going the other way. So huge defensively, timely baskets. Hit a couple free throws in the early part of the game, missed a couple late. It's going to be a tough situation always, last minutes with him on the court because he's so valuable on one end, but it's scary when they're sending him to the line, especially when it gets, within five or so. And Dylan Darling defensively, that steal and a bucket kind of sealed it. I thought he played big minutes prior to that too. Quality stuff. Hit a three in the first half, played good defense, kept the ball moving, keeps the offenses moving on the weak side. Obviously, fans are clamoring for more. I've been a big guy in Dylan's corner this whole season. Good to see him, come through in a big spot like that. And I'm sure it feels like a little bit weight off his shoulders, even though he's been playing to get minutes all throughout the season.
Josan Sannon, same thing, same story as the Villanova game. A relatively quiet night, kind of low on minutes, only playing 16 minutes, but two absolutely humongous buckets. Kid has now proven between tonight and the Villanova game that he is not afraid in the biggest of moments, no matter how cold of a night he's having shooting, to let him fly. And did a great job getting to the rim on buckets tonight. Like just absolute humongous baskets down the stretch.
And both those shots he made weren't easy shots. They both rolled around the rim a little bit. He earned them. Couple times I thought he was hesitant taking a maybe decently open 3-point shot and got himself in trouble in traffic instead. But he hasn't been lighting the world on fire shooting the basketball. So maybe some stuff's getting in his head and blocking him from playing his best basketball. Like you said, great to see him come through in a big spot again when we needed him most in the second half.
And we mentioned Zubie's foul trouble. I thought Ruben played great in spots coming off the bench. A lot of huge free throws. I think the majority of his free throws were 1-and-1, and he hit every single one. So,
yeah. And do you remember that save he had in the first half, chasing the ball down over the shoulder? That was an unbelievable play. He was all over the court. I'm not sure if it's always the other team knocking him down or his own effort, but he spends about half the time, picking himself up off the ground. But brings a ton of energy, ton of effort. I think eventually he's going to develop some touch, but he hasn't grown as much there as I had hoped in year two in terms of finishing around the basket or feeling comfortable inside with the basketball. But he has grown as a passer and was able to help us beat the press tonight against Seton Hall's full court pressure.
Isaiah Sellers, kind of like a quiet night too, but our magical number was a little low today with Ian Jackson not playing a ton of minutes and Isaiah Sellers not playing a ton of minutes and Josan Sannon not playing a ton of minutes. But Your bigs really stepped up. I thought Bryce Hopkins, despite not shooting the ball particularly well, like did a great job on the glass. And obviously, like we said, Dylan Mitchell was absolutely tremendous. So.
Yeah, Hopkins got going in the second half offensively, and I think on the boards because of that, those kind of go hand in hand. Mitchell, on the other hand, is just full throttle the whole time defensively and on the boards. We don't win that game, man. I think that goes without saying, obviously, without Dylan Mitchell and what he brings to this team, especially being infused in that starting lineup. He's just a complete difference maker. And Seton Hall had 3 or 4 guys in that mold. They're not quite Dylan Mitchell, but they're in that same mold. And Dylan Mitchell kind of, took them all on. And sometimes it was 1-on-2, 1-on-3, but he willed his teammates into a great second half performance. Down 15 points. This can really, a game like this can spearhead you into some serious momentum. Could have sunk you a little bit if you were to blow one at home. Now Rick Pitino gets to go for his 900th win against his son and Xavier this weekend, which is insane when you think about the chances of that happening. And weird too. He's probably going to just treat it as any other game, at least on the outside. That's what he's going to say. But I mean, come on, think about that. Well, I mean,
And
just
realistically, you get that W on the road, and you're probably ranked come this time next week in the top 20, probably realistically. You were 26, tied for 26 with Wisconsin.
I
I
mean,
mean,
at
you
least in the top 25, and depending on what
100%.
happens with other
Yeah.
teams, right?
Yep.
7-1, 14-5 overall. Um, Villanova 5-2, and we got the tiebreaker over them currently with our road win down in Philadelphia. Cole remembers that one. I think he remembers that one.
Bits and pieces.
Yeah, yeah, Zubie. So he's been rock steady for us. This might be the best win we've had with a quote unquote poor game from Zubie this season, I'd say for sure. Finishes with 9 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. So contributions all across the board, as you're usually going to see. But those 4 rebounds low, 9 points low, and then 4 turnovers. You mentioned the technical foul. To me, like that technical foul was anti what I'm used to from Zubie. Like that wasn't
Mm.
a physical play underneath the basket. That was a jump ball. Both guys just had the basketball. There was no like real need to like be a tough
Yep.
guy there in a
Agreed.
situation like that. Kind of hurt your team with the technical foul more. So helped Seton Hall get themselves riled up.
Yep.
Um, you show enough toughness on your own plays, going up their offensive rebounds, battling inside that you don't need to waste the technical there for something like that. Um, He's been doing that, not that. He's been more vocal, I feel like, and displaying emotion towards the referees this season too. Um, but I mean, he's playing so well that just kind of goes hand in hand. I feel like you got the refs probably talking to him as much as he's talking to the referees.
Yeah. And obviously today it cost you because then he's in foul trouble for the rest of the game, and really limits his minutes. But you wonder too how much of that is some type of leadership role that he's playing with these guys, thinking that that's what these players need, that they need him to be a little more vocal and animated on the court. So maybe it's a conscious effort by Zubie, but certainly something that I've noticed as well. But yeah, like today, you absolutely can't have that because it really, really could have bit us in the butt. Like if we couldn't have him out there, you put him in there with 3 fouls and then he picks up his 4th in 19 seconds and then he has to be glued to the bench until there's about 2.5 minutes left. So, thankfully we were able to get the W. Thankfully, Bryce and Dylan Mitchell and Ruben really picked up the slack, but got to have Zubie out there for more minutes than 27.
Yeah, captain, and then the other captain in attendance tonight, Keegan Bradley, there, special bobblehead special night, and we almost ruined it on a special night for him. He might not have been welcome back again after the whole Ryder Cup deal and now this, but glad to pull through. I'm a big Keegan fan, so if anybody's got an extra bobblehead, send him this way, please.
He
Um,
brought the magic. He brought the magic.
Again, primarily 8 guys deep tonight. You did get spot minutes from Deku and Lefty. Lefty, when he came in, looked like he almost lost his shorts there for a minute, trying to, wasn't quite ready to come
It's
in.
giving the crowd a show.
Yeah, giving the crowd a sneak peek. Deku almost had a costly turnover in the second half and a pretty big spot there. I think we might end up getting a stop on the other end, but regardless, Rick pulled him immediately after that play. And then yeah, Ian Jackson only 11 minutes, 0 points, I should say. 0 for 4 from the field, 3 turnovers, no rebounds, no assists. And that line obviously doesn't speak to a well-played game. I can't really point to many things other than one or two defensive miscues I said as they happened. But obviously 0 points, 3 assists. He wasn't lighting the world on fire. Um,
Do you make
Disappointing little step
do you
back.
make of that the defensive miscues that you mentioned and the 3 turnovers? Do you take that, and obviously Dylan Darling playing
Yeah,
very well? Like, those kind of three all go hand in hand, and then that leads to the kid being glued to the bench for. Did he even come in the second half? I don't know. I didn't really see
he
him.
he did for a little bit of a stretch, and then Darling came back in there. But and I'm a Darling, guy who's in Darling's corner. He wasn't lighting the world on fire up until those last 8 minutes or
Mm-hmm.
so either. Like, he was playing
Mm-hmm.
a pretty decent game, I thought, but it wasn't like he was demanding the minutes over him.
Mm-hmm.
So I was saying, Rick seems married to the idea of only playing one of them right now, never
Mm-hmm.
playing Jackson on the wing.
Yep.
And Sannon's not giving you anything. He was going away from Sellers for a stretch there. Why not try Jackson on the
Agreed.
wing next to Darling for a minute or two? Um,
Yeah, lefty looked a little overmatched. I mean, he only played 4 minutes, but a little overmatched defensively. And he had him and Dylan out on the court at the same time. I wouldn't have been opposed to seeing Ian Jackson out there in a
yeah,
shooting guard role, playing off ball to Dylan Darling's point guard.
yeah. And then as I said that, Sannon hit a couple shots, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so that's why it's hard it's easy, I should say, to go back and say beforehand, but um, it's never easy in the moment. But I hope this is just a small step in the wrong direction. Ian Jackson can jump back,
Mm-hmm.
headed towards where he looked like he was going. But Dylan Darling, it's good to have a backup that's ready to do that. Let's just point to the positives, right? Like, I still think we've seen this year how important it is to have a high level point guard. Um, I think Dylan Darling is a guy we should be hoping sticks around next year so we don't have to fill the backup point guard. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And at least have that as the base level, and he's going to get better from where he is now. But I mean, you don't want to be looking for ball handlers again, right? At the beginning of the season and then wondering what we're going to have there. So you know what you have in him, and then go get a couple studs who are also capable, and
Obviously,
build
like
around
this,
that.
the steadying, calming factor of him being able to be rock solid with the ball is super important, getting the players into the offense. But I like the confidence that you saw in some really key spots there. His willingness to take the ball to the rim, get fouled, go to the free throw line. I thought he played a really, really, really good game today.
Yeah, that spin. He's shown that spin a couple times
Mm-hmm.
now in traffic, been
Mm-hmm.
able to get off that defender's shoulder
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
uh, and finish over some bigger guys.
Mm-hmm.
I still say he's underrated with his quickness. He's able to create space, especially when he's coming off a catch or a jab step where he's able to kind of get a defender shift in one direction. But that one or two first steps of his is pretty damn quick. 6 foot, those strides get caught up to though.
And
Um,
the cojones to go for that steal.
yeah, he did a good job on Clark all night. He got
Mm-hmm.
beat a couple times, and the whole team, up until the last 10 minutes, really, where we put the clamps on Seton Hall, was getting beat on the spread out drives. Um, Really a tale of two games. We did to Seton Hall what they were doing to us for the last 15 minutes of that game. Thankfully, we were able to finish the game on top. Who knows what would have happened if we played another 10 or so minutes? I think we kind of figured it out, and our size was wearing them down. Hopkins, Mitchell especially. But basketball is a game of runs. We saw that tonight, and St. John's was lucky enough to be on top of the last one.
I'm staring at some of these post game quotes in real time from the presser, and I love this quote from Hopkins. I think we've discovered that there's no quit in us. It's a great quote
Hopkins.
from one of your veteran bigs.
Yeah, Hopkins is improving. Hopkins looks to be seeing where to pick his spots offensively. That one spin he has in the paint that he missed the finish tonight, but you can see it coming. The defense, I'm sure, doesn't see it coming, but he just creates so much space, spins so quickly, and like you said, with such a big body, he kind of just shrugs those forwards off him and can create space there. Got up for a few dunks, missed one, I think. Maybe got fouled, maybe got blocked, but I think the legs are getting there. Might never get fully back there, obviously, but I think they're getting there.
I thought that block from behind, I thought that was a foul. I didn't like that no call. Rick Pitino had another awesome quote on Dylan Mitchell. He knew tonight Zubie wasn't rebounding well. Credit to Seton Hall. They're the only team this year to stop him. They're a tough-ass team. He's raving about Dylan Mitchell and his performance, especially on the boards. What more can you say about Dylan Mitchell's performance tonight? Just an incredible, incredible game.
Yeah, he's etching his way into, St. John's fandom.
Don't
Just
you wish we had him for 3 more years? Damn.
yeah, I'd take
That
3 more months.
effort, Pat would love that from his high school kids, diving all over the ground, getting dirty.
Yeah,
No
poster
loose
boy.
ball is safe.
No, and oh man, and it's easy to look back and smile now, but that first half was terrible loose ball stuff. I mean, 3 or 4 of them. Actually, one in particular, I do remember Ian Jackson missed a loose ball opportunity. Would have been 2 points the other way, ended up being a 3-point basket from Seton Hall early on. And it wasn't like a overtly big mistake, it was just an opportunity missed, and it's enough of those get added up into a cold night. And I think that's really what leads to some of Rick's miss or not trusting him.
Fun stuff, man. What just an incredible comeback. I'm glad that pessimistic Cole wasn't right on this one.
Yeah, and good to get a Garden win. Obviously, St. John's looking like part of the clear top two in the Big East again with UConn, as much as we don't want to say it, the clear number one right now. But as long as we keep checking off the list until that first big matchup, it should
You
be a
get
good one.
you get a number next to your name, and then come February 6th, it's number 2 in the nation against number 19 or something like that. My gosh, that place is going to be absolutely on fire.
Cole wants us ranked. God damn it!
Rank us.
All right,
Rank us.
gotta beat Xavier first for number 900. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, all that jazz. For Cedric Jackson, can you do a guy who didn't graduate and ended up being a better player somewhere else? I was always a fan. For Cedric Jackson, this has been the Red Storm Rap Reaction Podcast. I'm Pat Kane. That's Cole. That's Shaw.